So 2024 has begun and all of us have started to create our vision board, our manifestation and goals for the year. So am I. And I'm sure that all of us have had these list of things or targets or goals that we created last year that we could not accomplish, which now we are carrying it forward to this year. But in this video, I'm going to talk about 7 things that you should stop doing in order to be successful in 2024. So let's get started to this journey towards unparalleled success in 2024. I'm sure that you must have come across a lot of these videos or these content pieces where you learn about how to create vision board, how to manifest your dreams, how to achieve the targets and the goals that you create and set for yourself. But a lot of these videos don't talk about the mistakes that we make. One of the biggest mistakes we make is that we stick to same mindset, same belief system, and with that same actionable strategies, we approach our goals and our targets. Let's say, for example, last year you wanted to shed, let's say, 20 kgs, but you thought that maybe joining a gym or maybe hiring a personal trainer can actually help me. And you've been doing this every single year, but after failing to do this for consistent years, you forget that you need to change your actions and your belief system towards how do you approach your weight loss journey. So maybe signing up for gym membership or maybe hiring a personal trainer might not really work for you because somewhere you really need to have that intrinsic motivation to lose weight. So maybe starting with a morning walk or a jog can actually get you into this cycle of physical movement. And once you get habituated to this physical movement, then of course you can invest your money into gym membership or personal trainer and so on and so forth. So in order to get different results, you have to put different action altogether, and this is something that you need to change. Maybe the kind of actions that you were putting in for your goals, for your targets for all these years, you need to tweak a little bit and change something about it that hasn't been working for you for all these years. So grab your notebooks and get ready to break free from the shackles of whatever is holding you back, because we're going to talk about 7 things you need to stop right now. So number 1 is overthinking and fear of failure. You know, one of the beautiful quote that I truly love is, nothing kills your dream more than your fear. The first and foremost thing is to overcome this paralysis of fear and your overthinking. I understand कि कई बार ना हम overthink करते हैं about our decisions, about what if this is not meant for me, what if this does not work out in future, and rightly so. सोचना ज़रूरी है, analyze करना ज़रूरी है. It's important to actually do your math before taking any decision or before making any move. But you should know to draw boundaries every time you start overthinking about it. And sometimes we overthink because of our fear of failure. कि अरे लोग क्या कहेंगे? What if this does not work out for me? But what if this works out for you? And as legendary entrepreneur Elon Musk once said, failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. तो फेल होना गलत नहीं है, रिस्क लेना गलत नहीं है, बट इफ एनीथिंग दैट स्टॉप्स यू फ्रॉम ग्रोइंग इन योर लाइफ इज स्टेइंग स्टैग्नेंट वेयर यू आर, इज बाय नॉट टेकिंग रिस्क इन योर लाइफ, इज बाय नॉट टेकिंग डिसीजंस इन योर लाइफ, इट्स by not putting your foot forward. So every time your mind thinks that ये मुझसे नहीं होगा, ये मैं successful इसमें नहीं रहूंगा, every time your mind starts thinking negative because of the fear of failure, or it starts overthinking about something or ruminating about negative thought patterns, just simply remind yourself of all the great things that you've achieved in past. Then comes number 2, that is procrastination. This is one of the biggest mistakes we make. And I remember Dr. Timothy Pitchell once said that procrastination is not a time management problem. It's an emotional regulation problem, which means a lot of times we procrastinate on our tasks, on our goals, on certain things that we have to finish because we don't want to face our feelings, because the task that's been given to us, or maybe the task that we decide for our own self, it's either boring, it's difficult, or maybe we will not do justice to that task. So procrastination has nothing to do with कि मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है. टाइम हम सबके पास होता है to do important task or to finish certain to-dos that really has our heart. So कई बार हमारे पास वक्त ना होने पे भी हमारी जो favorite activity होती है और something that we really enjoy, we do it immediately irrespective of what time or hour it is. One of the way how I beat my notorious procrastination monster is by using Mel Robbins' 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's such a great tool. This 5-second rule really helps you in getting started, getting pumped to whatever you are doing. Sometimes you don't have to give yourself a second thought. अगर आपको कोई task करना है, तो you don't have to let your mind decide कि मैं करूँ या नहीं करूँ. Immediately take action. So all you have to do is whenever inspiration strikes, you have to simply get up and do it before it dissipates or before your thought giving you all the irrational justifications कि यार हम बाद में भी कर सकते हैं. Because remember, as Karen Lamb says, a year from now, you may wish you had started today. Number 3 is negative self-talk. A lot of times we beat ourselves for not being good enough, for not being best as this other person. Whenever we open our social media, we compare ourselves so much, and it's become all the more easier to compare ourselves and put ourselves down. Maybe Sharma ji का बेटा काफी अच्छा पढ़ लिख गया, but आप नहीं पढ़ लिख गए, तो you're always being compared, or maybe you've been put down because of this constant societal pressure. You often question yourself, your abilities, and this is one of the biggest mistakes we make. We don't have to let someone else decide for us. We don't have to let someone else's perception of us create this whole negative perception towards our own self. So negative self-talk has more to do with how you're so critical about yourself, about you're pessimistic about your future, about your goals, about कि तुम जिंदगी में कभी कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे. And remember that these all negative self-talk comes from the belief system that's been formed in our childhood. And belief systems in our childhood are usually formed with how our surrounding was, what we've been told, how we've been conditioned. These things really impact our mind and forms a belief system जो हमारे adulthood में भी carry forward हो जाता है. And it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy for us because we often tell ourselves or tell other people कि मैं ऐसा ही हूँ, मैं ऐसे ही बात करती हूँ, मैं ऐसे ही रहती हूँ, this is my lifestyle, take it or leave it. ये सारी जो belief systems है ना, because it works for us, which is why it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it stops us from facing our demons, facing our tough situations, or maybe it just helps us in being in our comfort zone. So don't let it become your self-fulfilling prophecy, but instead push yourself to keep bettering yourself. So the number one step is to recognize every time you have this negative self-talk rut. तो पहली चीज है कि इसको recognize करो कि क्या ये मुझे stop कर रहे हैं grow होने से, and then find the origin of it कि क्या मैं societal influence में आके, society के pressure में आके, unrealistic expectations बनाकर is why I am talking bad about myself. So once you realize the root cause of that negative self-talk, remind yourself to reframe those thoughts. Instead of telling yourself that I'm not good enough or maybe I might fail at this, remind yourself and reframe it by saying, ठीक है मैं शायद fail हो जाऊंगा, but what if I succeed? You just look at the positive side of it, or maybe just look at it from an optimistic perspective. Be compassionate towards your own self by reminding yourself that it's okay to make mistakes, but it is not okay for me to just be in my comfort zone. And then comes number 4, that is resisting change. Now before I talk about resisting change, I really want to share with you guys a funny story. There was a female who weighed approximately 110 kgs, and her only objective for past few years was to lose 35 kilos of weight. So every year she would begin with various diets, workout regimes, and she would try everything possible, and she would fail to strike a consistency. On diving deep, we realized that there was this one belief system that was working out for her in her head. Subconsciously, she believed that if she would lose weight, she will have to throw all her clothes, the current clothes that she owns, and she'll have to buy and invest in a lot of new clothes. Funny, right? So sometimes such stupid reasonings can actually make us resist change. Another example that I really want to share with you is a lot of people who want to quit smoking, drinking, or stop any negative bad habits that are impacting their health, their mind. They don't put their best foot forward, or they don't initiate change because they fear that what if they quit smoking and drinking, their friends will stop calling them for a casual catch-up or maybe for a drinking session. You see how these little belief systems can actually resist change because of our fear, our uncertainty, because we don't know what those changes will do to us. So every time you want to bring a change, ask yourself, is there any belief system that's stopping you from change? Is there societal pressure or societal influence or unrealistic expectations that you have in your head that's been causing you to not put your best foot forward? And change is an inevitable part of our life, and change often includes a certain degree of relinquishing control. So be mindful of what really stops you from bringing the change. Which takes us to the point number 5, people pleasing. I was one of those. I used to please people because it used to make me feel that if I please people or I really make them happy, only then they will understand me, they'll love me, they'll approve of me, they'll validate me. This was because I had extremely low self-control. And sometimes and oftentimes when we have low self-control, that's when we think of pleasing people. It's completely fine to show them love, care, value, respect, trust, and all of this. But pleasing should not come from a space where you're pleasing them in order to feel good about your own self. You shouldn't be pleasing with any kind of an ulterior motive towards them. So it's extremely pivotal to start working on your self-esteem, your self-worth, because when you believe that you're good enough in your life, you will not seek someone else's approval and validation. And rightly so, as the quote goes, be who you are and say what you feel, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Because people who truly love you will love you with all your authenticity, with who you are and as you are. That certainly takes us to our point number 6, that is comparison. And we spoke about it in the past that comparison can actually stop us from growing in our life because we're constantly comparing ourselves to the good parts of someone's life, especially on social media. The moment we open our social media or Instagram or YouTube, we look at the good parts of someone's life. And we fail to comprehend that what we see online or on social media is just a part or a chunk of their life and not the entirety of it. So every time you start comparing yourself with your friends, your colleagues, or maybe your neighbors or some random person, make a list of all your strengths that you're great at. Remind yourself of your past achievements, of what you've conquered in past, the obstacles that you've overcome. So be humble with others, but more so be humble with your own self, because everyone's journey is unique and beautiful in its own self. And last but not the least, one of the biggest mistakes that you have to stop making this year is not having right goal setting strategies. That is, make sure that your goals are extremely measurable in nature, which means they are pragmatic, they are practical, they are extremely tailor-made and bespoke for you, which means that a lot of times we see all these videos and all these tricks and strategies that are available on social media that ask us to do or behave in a certain way. It's like having those 10 goals for physical health, 10 goals for spiritual health, 10 goals for mental health, 10 goals for emotional health. Everyone has their own style, their own way of operating life, and it's important for you to find your own style. So start creating goals that you totally resonate with, something that feels personal to you. For example, a 2-hour long workout at the gym, or maybe an hour jog and an hour long walk might not work for you, but you can find something that feels like personal to you, something that feels like a play to you. You can start applying these kind of goal setting strategies for different areas of your life, whether it's your mental health, your emotional health, your relationships, your career, your finances, and different areas. But make sure whenever you create goals for you, it has to feel like a second nature and you don't have to juggle or struggle in order to achieve them. Well, this was all about the 7 mistakes that you need to really stop doing in 2024 in order to be successful. And as Winston Churchill once said, that success is not final, failure is not fatal, it's the courage to continue that counts. So instead of making the same mistakes every single year, try to rectify where have you been lacking, what belief systems are not working for you. Because Albert Einstein says, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting different results. So make sure that 2024 is your game-changing year. Now, if you found this video useful, make sure to like, share and subscribe to this channel. And don't forget to share it with your friends, your family, whomsoever who really needs to, or who shares with you that they really want to make this 2024 successful and bombastic. So see you next time soon. Bye-bye.